Hello, class. On this opportunity, we're going to talk about participle adjectives or participle adjectives. As you can see on the picture, participle adjectives are those adjectives ending in ing or ed. We have boring or bored, confusing or confused, exciting or excited, embarrassing or embarrassed. Now, it's important to know when to use these two. In first place, let me tell you that there are two types of participial or participle adjectives. We have present participial adjectives, the ones that end in ing, like boring, exciting, confusing, surprising, exhausting. And also we have past participial adjectives. Those are the ones that end in the ed. For example, we have bored, exhausted, excited, surprised, confused, or embarrassed. Now, here's the big deal. When to use boring and when to use bored. As you can see here, we have boring and bored. Now, the question will be when to use those two. Okay. What's the difference between the ed and ing form of adjectives? In first place, as you can see here, ed adjectives describe the way a person feels. So I can say, I feel exhausted. I feel tired. I'm confused. I'm surprised. I'm interested on that computer. So basically, I'm talking about how I feel. And on this case, I'm using ed adjectives. Now, when I want to talk about the personality of a person, when I want to describe a place, an event, or an experience, I'm going to use ing adjectives. For example, if something is surprising, it makes me feel surprised. I feel surprised. And it's because to me, that thing is surprising. Ed adjectives describe how you feel about something. Your state. I'm surprised. I'm tired. And ing adjectives describe the cause of how you feel. Let's see this example. School is difficult, but Melissa enjoys it because she loves to learn. She especially loves her science class because the teacher is very good. The teacher's class is never boring. On the contrary, it's interesting or exciting. As you can see here, these adjectives describe the class. The teacher's class is never boring. On the contrary, it's interesting or exciting. So, I'm describing here the class. If the class is interesting, I am interesting. I feel interested because the class is interesting. Now, let's pay attention here. These are adjectives even though they end with ing. It's not present continuous. These are adjectives. Let's move to the other example. Miguel didn't sleep very well last night. To make things worse, he had to get up early this morning because his boss asked him to come to work early. When he got up, he realized that he had run out of coffee. Poor Miguel. Today he feels tired or exhausted. As you can see, these adjectives describe how he feels. He feels tired. He feels exhausted. Remember, even though these adjectives end in ed, let's not confuse them with verbs in past. They are not verbs in past. They are adjectives. Tired, exhausted. Let's see more examples. Number 1. Tom's job is boring. He feels bored when he's at work. Tom is bored because his job is boring. As you can see, his job is boring. I'm describing his job. His job is boring. When you say that something is boring, you're describing the cause of how you feel. He feels bored because the job is boring. Let's move to the second example. Jane thinks that computers are interesting. As you can see, I'm describing the computers. Interesting. Now, she is interested in studying computers in the future. We have here a list of different participle adjectives. Remember that we're talking about participle or participle adjectives. You can find them on Unit 9, specifically page 96. So we have thrilled, fascinated, amazed, shocked, embarrassed, confused, frightened, depressed, amused, annoyed, or distracted. Those are participle adjectives in past, as we can say. In general, they are adjectives, but the name is participle adjectives in past. And remember that when they end in ed, it's because they describe how you feel about something. Oh, for example, I'm fascinated about this party. I'm fascinated because the party was fascinating. As you can see, I'm using ing to describe the party because I'm describing the cause of how I feel. I feel fascinated because the party was fascinating. Let's see if this is another example. If you are in a situation that embarrasses you, how do you describe yourself in that situation? You may say, I'm embarrassed. Now, how would you describe the situation? Wow, what an embarrassing situation. As you can see, you're describing yourself, your state as I'm embarrassed, ending in ed. But you're describing the situation with ing. Exercise or example number 2. If you watch a movie that really fascinates you, how would you describe the movie? You may say, that was a fascinating movie I saw. How would you describe yourself? I was fascinated by that movie. Let's practice together. Look at this picture. Was the little girl surprised or surprising? She was surprised. Remember, surprised. Because ed adjectives describe how you feel about something. Now, second question. Was the party surprised or surprising? The party was surprising. Remember that ing adjectives describe the cause of how you feel. She was surprising. Is that correct? No. She was surprised because the party was surprising. Very good. Oh my God, let's look at this picture. How do you think the man feel? How does he feel? How does the man feel? Exhausted or exhausting? He feels exhausted or he is exhausted. Now, let's talk about the marathon. Let's describe the cause of how he feels. Was the marathon exhausted or exhausting? It was exhausting. Oh my God, look at this picture. Have you felt like that before? Wow, frustrate. The man feels frustrated or frustrating. He feels frustrated. His job can be frustrated or frustrating. Now, remember here, ing adjectives describe the cause of how you feel. So, the job is the cause. So, it's frustrating. I'm describing the job. Now, he is frustrated because that's how he feels. Remember, adjectives that end in ed are used to describe how people feel. For example, students are often confused about math problems. Number 2, she felt tired after working hard all day. Now, adjectives ending in ing are used to describe things and situations. And furthermore, they are used to describe people's personality. For example, if I say, my students are interesting, I'm describing my students. I'm describing the cause of how I feel. I feel interested because they are interesting. On this case, number 1, math problems are often confusing. I'm describing the cause of how I feel. If I feel confused, tell me what's the cause. The cause is the math problems, so they are confusing. Number 2, working hard all day is tiring. So again, I'm describing the cause of how I feel. I'm describing the cause of how I feel. I'm tired or I feel tired because my job is tiring. Guys, this was everything. I hope that you have understood. If you have any question, just let me know. I'll assign you some exercises from page 96 and 97 in order for you to practice with participle or participial adjectives. Bye bye.